Tankers, welcome back to another one of my videos. I am Blitz, and today I'm going to be talking about the T-34-3, which has just hit the store today for a very inexpensive 7,000 gold. Now, as always, I'm going to be talking about the tank, whether or not it's worth the price tag, how to run it, and where to run it. Now, straight off the bat, I'm going to say that some YouTubers have made videos on this tank saying that they don't like it. It's just got an awful damage per minute, which is true. I run calibrated, which makes your damage per minute just a terrible 1,502. However, there are some redeeming factors about the tank, which I'm going to be getting into. But I understand why YouTubers don't like it, but I have a very different playstyle than most players. So I really like this tank just because of the characteristics that it has and how I'm able to use them to my advantage. Now you can see here I'm not pushing it in like that P-43 over there was, because I know my damage per minute's bad, and if they have the Type 59 and they have the mediums and the lights that push over there, I'm not going to be able to contest them that well, because you can see 13.6 second reload is just awful. Pretty much the CDC will be able to tap me 3 times every time I tap him once. And you know, I do have a very big alpha gun, which is a very nice thing about this tank. It's sitting at 400 alpha with a 122mm. However, still, you're doing 400 alpha, but a CDC would probably be able to take 600 off you, almost 703 shells for your one shot. So that is one thing to keep in mind, is you do not want to run this tank like a medium. You do not want to brawl with the enemy mediums. You can shoot at them like a safe distance away, like you can see me here. I'm sitting my tank in a spot to where I have my team covering me. That way I know I can't get pushed on. Because one really important thing about this tank is you need your team with you. It is not a good tank to fight enemies alone with. However, the aiming time you can see is very good on this tank, and it is one of the huge redeeming factors for me about the tank, probably one of the most, to be honest. It's a 2.3 second aiming time. Now that is, I think, one of the, if not the quickest aiming time at tier 8, and at tier 9 pretty much, other than the other WZ-120 Chinese tank. And the aiming time is what really makes this tank so awesome for me, because you saw there, I was able to aim in on that IS in just an instant, because this tank has very bad dispersion. But you know, when you're driving, the aiming time, or the aiming circle, is very large, and it blooms a crazy amount. But as soon as you stop, you can see you're able to aim in on tanks at a very close distance super accurately, which means that, you know, if there's like a 59, I'm able to aim in right where I want to snap that shell into the side of him, as you can see, nailing 425 off of him. And because we were able to nail him for 425 there, it's only going to take us one more shell to kill this 59, unlike it probably would have taken 3 shells to take out that 59 in like a mod 1. So that is one thing to keep in mind there. And another really nice thing about this tank is that bigger alpha allows you to be able to trade shells more effectively with enemy tanks. Like that Type 59, you know, when I was talking about the T-34-3 the other day, the issue with it is that you can't trade shells with enemies. You know, you're doing 240 damage, and an RHM could shoot you back for 640. You know, it's 3 times your damage. But when you run the 34-3, if there's even a Tiger 2 that pulls out on you, you can literally load heat and just tap him right through the front. His armor means absolutely nothing, and the heat penetration is ridiculous on this tank. And that's 297 millimeters of penetration the heat has, which is ridiculous. Even when you're not running calibrated, it's still 270. Now, I really would urge to run calibrated if you do pick up this tank, because calibrated is only taking off 113 average damage per minute, which is barely anything. And to be honest, if you would rather gain that 113 damage over trying to penetrate an extra shot, that's on you, because I really think calibrated is one of the most important things to run on tanks with very low damage per minutes. But I'm going to pause this right here, and you can see I'm aiming at this T-54. I've just stopped, and I can shoot that entire side of him and overmatch it, because my tank has a 122mm cannon, and my 400 alpha shell is able to overmatch his side armor. Now, if I was at the same angle with a T-54 Mod 1, or, you know, any tank like the Mutts, it would not be able to penetrate that shell just because of the angle it's at. The only reason I'm able to penetrate is because my effective 3 calibers rule is put into play here, and I'm easily able to slam a shell into the side of him. Also, look how quick my aiming circle aims in. Boom, that was it. It's fully aimed in. That's amazing how quick it is. And you can see here, I just load the heat and boom, right into his lower plate because I knew I wasn't able to penetrate him in the side anymore. But that was the first shot array. We've already picked up 323 damage. And a lot of people may argue, well, the dispersion's bad, so if you're sitting far away and trying to get shots in, they're not going to penetrate. But as I've said, this tank isn't meant to be camped in. If you're camping in this tank, you're playing it wrong. It's meant to be as a support tank. You sort of play it behind your mediums, you don't push it amazingly in, but look how quick that aiming time is, right into the side of that Super Pershing's turret. And that's one nice thing about this tank is when you're at close ranges, you can nail little cupolas and little weak spots on tanks because your aiming circle gets so small so quickly on little tiny spots. And it's really just one of the best feelings in the game. You can see, though, the aiming circle is huge while you're driving. That is one drawback. Hitting shots on the move with this tank, I wouldn't try doing it. But you're going to see I'm going to drive up this hill, and there's going to be a KPZ aiming somewhere else. And I'm able to shoot him right in the side turret. Look how quick this aiming time is. 1, 2, boom, fire, and back up. And that's all that there is to this tank, is you aim, shoot, back up. It's a peekaboo tank. You know, it's not great at brawling with mediums, as I said in the beginning of this video. You do not want to, you know, face off against an enemy tank. But you can see here, I'm using this tank, and by the way, it has a very, very good armor. I'm not going to show the armor profile because I can really just talk about it, but the hull, the upper plate, is actually sitting around 170 millimeters thick. Now, to give you an example of how thick that is, 170 millimeters is about the same as that T-34-3 Sheriff that's in this game right now, which is a heavy tank. Well, it's marketed as a heavy tank. So this tank has very nice armor, and because it's at a very steep angle, you're able to get some very funky bounces. And you can see here, I'm pulling out on this IS-3, and I knew he was going to shoot me back, but I didn't care, because my average damage is 400, so I'm able to pull out on him, and I know even if I get shot, I'm able to effectively trade shells with him, and we're going to do the same damage. You know, if I was in a CDC, I might not have wanted to pull out on him, because also I would have been high explosive. But again, look at this, boom, 561. Because not to mention this tank has excellent high explosive, dealing average of 500 damage. That one shot there would have taken almost 3 shells to do in a tank like the Mutts. And again, boom, 465. You can see that it's just such a nice tank. I really love it. I think it's really a unique tank in the game. And if you like the big alpha playstyle, if you like the 1-2-1, or you like tanks that are Russian-ish, because not to mention I forgot to get into the turret armor. The turret on this tank is completely impenetrable from the front unless you load heat with like 300 millimeters of penetration. The average turret armor on the front of this tank is sitting at around 275, ranging up to 400 millimeters thick, and it's a very, very low down tank. Because you saw when I was shooting that KPZ earlier, he could not really see my hull, and if he did, he was at an angle like this when I was aiming at him, so he would not have been able to penetrate me at all whatsoever. It's got very, very good armor, and it's a troll tank at that. And you can pretty much bounce a lot of shells in this game, in the tank. That last game I played there, I penned all 8 of my shells, not any trouble with them, and we managed to pull out 3,300 damage. It's just such a unique tank. And to be honest, I really do like it. And I'll show you guys my equipment just because I know a lot of you guys ask about it when you do pick up these tanks. As I said, I run calibrated. It gives you a huge advantage here. And not to mention, this tank holds 90 rounds, which is enough rounds to literally outlast how many times this tank can shoot in battle. And you may be saying, well, that's stupid. Well, it's not, because that means that you can load... I load 15 high explosive anti-tank and 10 high explosive, and I've still got 65 AP rounds, which means I'm never ever going to have to worry about running out of heat rounds in this tank or AP. You know, sometimes when you run tanks like autoloaders or tanks that have a very quick damage per minute, you run out of ammunition. You're not going to have to worry about that in this tank. And missing shots really isn't going to affect your damage per minute that much. The view range on this tank is pretty good, and I do buff the view range. Never camp in tanks like this. If you are, I wouldn't suggest to get this tank. Look at it again, 2.3 seconds. That's literally 1, 2. You're aimed in already. And that's just ridiculous how quick it aims in. Hit points, I always run the hit points over the armor, even on a mouse. It just gives you a greater advantage, and it statistically does help you survive better. And the final thing is I'm running the hull traverse speed. I would not really suggest to run the engine accelerator unless it's on like a heavy tank, because then it really doesn't buff your improved control by that much. And the last two equipment slots I really don't ever run. I do run Toolbox, the 30% module repair speed on my heavies like the E100s where it repairs the tracks quicker, but other than that, I don't really run that on mediums. But you can see I actually do like this tank, which is quite odd because then I'll complain about a tank that has one of the best damage per minutes in the game, the T-34-3. But to be honest, I really like this tank, and one huge big benefit about this tank is it's 7,000 gold. This is the cheapest tank at tier 8 you can pretty much buy in the store forever. It's the cheapest tank. All the tier 8 tech tree premiums right now are over 7,000 gold. It's a steal deal. I would really suggest to pick this thing up if you like tanks of this playstyle. And one really cool thing about it is it's a mobile gun. You know, it's got that 400 alpha, but you're able to not mobile, but you're able to use your mobility to your advantage, run around the map, get some shots on the side, then go somewhere else, get somebody over there. And it's really just so fun and unique playstyle, especially with that amazing aiming time. You're able to just snap shots right into the enemy. So I hope you guys did enjoy this video. As always, make sure to hit me up in the comments down below if you have any questions or comments. If you did like it, make sure to smash that like button. If you didn't like it, hit that downvote button. Tell me why you didn't like it in the comments down below. If you don't like the tank, you had any traumatic experiences in it, let me know. I want to hear all of your guys' opinions. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see you in the next one.